This video is brought to you by
Cool green clothing. Yeah, I'm fresh up out the lab. Yeah, you already know what that means. I'm back with some more heat for y'all. Yeah, you see this set right here? You see this outfit? Yeah, make this you right here. This you right here. And go online right now at coolgreenclothing.com and see what other colors I got available in this set right here. Cool green clothing. If you ain't cool and getting the green, you in the way.
What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Let's get right into the story. When it comes to the streets, most people that really come from that environment don't want to live like that at all, and are most of the time trying to find a way out. They just play the cards they are dealt. In every city or block around the world, it's laws and rules to that lifestyle. Most are universal, but everywhere has their own way of doing things. Back when I was a hopper, if someone took something from you and people knew, you had to try to get that situation handled. Because if you didn't, you would be considered a swine or weak, and you would be fooled. Your street career at that point is pretty much over. Now that's what most kids fascinated with street life don't understand. You think you can grab a pack, hit the block, get the name, money, and girls, but what about the stick up boys, jump bouts, shooters from other hoods spinning your block for something you probably didn't even do? Your mans did. It gets real. It seems fun until you are in too deep, and then it's not no more. And at a young age in certain cities, you are considered grown. Once you jump off the porch, it's no going back. Now you have to follow those street laws, even if you don't want to. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we will discuss a team's plan for get back that went wrong. Back in 2016, on an afternoon day in February, two young men were sitting in a car in West Baltimore in front of the Raven Mark corner store on West Lafayette Avenue in Bentlow. They were at the time 20-year-old Anthony Daniels and 15-year-old Quindell Ford. As the two were chopping it up, seconds later, shots went off. The store clerk dropped to the floor. Car swerved, trying not to catch a straight bullet, as it was broad daylight. Once the commotion stopped, witnesses left on the scene called BPD. They responded to the location to find one male victim suffering from multiple gunshot wounds in the front seat of a car, and another male victim about 1 block away, also hit multiple times. Paramedics were called, but both men, unfortunately, wouldn't survive and were pronounced gone on the scene. They were later identified as Anthony and Quindell. BPD looked in the car the young men were sitting in to see a .22 revolver in the center console, also a black mask in the trunk. At first, they deemed it a shootout because the .22 was in the car, but they realized it was never fired and the shell casings were from a different gun. Detectives went to their only lead, the young lady working at the Raven Mark store. She stated she saw the car park, saw men walking, then shots go off before she hit the ground. When she looked up, everything was over. But police quickly noticed surveillance cameras outside the store. They recovered the footage from that day and looked at it. It allegedly showed the man in an all-gray sweatsuit and mask on his face approached the hood of the car. The driver's door was already open before the shooter just started letting off shots. The driver ran before collapsing, but the passenger was struck and was caught in an ambush. With only a brief video and no face, BPD went to the news and released the footage. A man we will call C was a passerby that day. He called to let police know he saw the whole incident, under the assumption he would get reward money for information. He went to the station. C stated him and his homeboy were driving when two men, one with a mask approached the parked car and started shooting. C swerved and sped up so he could duck the crossfire, but insisted he saw everything. When asked why he didn't contact police earlier, he stated he didn't know no one passed away. He thought they were just shooting outside. When showed a photo lineup of suspects, C zoomed in on a 16-year-old young man named Troy Bradner, stating he was on the scene and had a gun. Police went to talk to Troy, who stated he wasn't there at all and doesn't know anything about no shooting or what happened. But one of his family members will break the case wide open, giving detectives text messages between her and Troy, in which he stated, "I did it. I shot them." The relative then asked why. He responded, "Because they robbed me." She then stated, "You know those boys died, right?" In which Troy stated, "Yeah, I know. Please don't tell my mother." So with that, the young man was questioned again. This time he stated he was at the scene, had a 9 on his waist, but he never fired the weapon, alleging somebody else shot the car up. Troy was then arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, but the store clerk in C stated it was one more shooter. Almost a whole year would go by when C was called back to the station. This time, detectives had been talking to the community, and another name popped up, David Wise. Detectives showed C David's picture, in which he quickly pointed him out as the other trigger man. David was picked up and charged with 2 counts of first-degree hit as well. As the men were waiting for trial, one of the two would start making statements. So by the time the court date came, the clerk from the Raven Mark was interviewed and C lawyers argued. BPD stepped out of line and forced the store clerk to get on footage. Even though she never talked to the owner, they simply got a disk drive and downloaded the footage without permission. They also pointed out the fact she was on the ground and only heard the shots. And in C's case, he thought he would get the reward money, in which he never got. But one of the men had already made a proffer agreement and gave up the whole story to detectives. With that information and Troy's text messages he sent to family members, both men were found guilty of the double hit. David was given 2 consecutive life sentences plus 5 years for a handgun violation, and Troy, life with all suspended but 40 years and 5 years probation. Rest in peace to Anthony and Quindell. I send my deepest prayers and condolences to both families. None of these young men were over 21 and were out here living fast, not understanding its consequences on both ends. If you rob somebody, you always got to worry about that get back and look over your shoulders. Never say what the next person won't do. And if you get took off or robbed, that's something you have to ask yourself, is it worth me going out here trying to get back? It's a chance I go to prison or get hit myself. But if I don't do nothing about it, my street cred is over. It's a lose-lose. Once you get put in that trick bag, all the rules, even the ones we make up about the streets, are to keep us locked up or in graveyards. Once you decide to take on that persona, you got to try to keep it up, even if you are not ready for what comes with it. The streets are cold and unforgiving and will make decisions for you. You think you are in control, but really, we play to lose. Puppets in a dangerous game. But hey, that's the Baltimore way. Man, crazy situation, crazy story. Rest in peace, them 2 young men. Y'all heard it. I ain't gonna talk y'all head off on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments. Remember to definitely be respectful. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. It's all love, fam. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. This your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.